Before we dive into this incredible story, if you love tales of impossible love, dangerous secrets, and life-changing decisions, hit that subscribe button now. Trust me, you'll want to follow this journey to the end. Now, let's begin. Amara Okonkwo's hands shook as she stared at the 3 pregnancy tests lined up on the marble bathroom counter. 3 tests, 3 positive results, 3 pink lines that shouldn't exist. She was 8 weeks pregnant, with triplets, and she'd never been with a man in her entire life. The luxury penthouse bathroom in Gangnam spun around her. Outside, Seoul's night skyline glittered with indifferent beauty. Inside, Amara's carefully constructed world was collapsing into impossible biology and terrifying implications. She thought back to that night 3 months ago, the party that changed everything. Amara had been working as a server at the exclusive Hanam-dong event, one of those glittering gatherings where Korea's elite drank champagne that cost more than her monthly rent. She'd taken the job through a premium catering agency, desperate for the 500,000 won payout. Her student visa was expiring. Her mother, back in Lagos, needed surgery. Desperation had made her say yes to a party where she didn't belong. The mansion had been spectacular. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, guests in designer clothes discussing business deals worth billions. Amara had moved through the crowd invisibly, offering champagne and canapes, just another black face serving Korea's powerful. Then she'd seen him. Kang Jae-sung stood apart from the crowd, dark suit perfectly tailored, face carved from stone and secrets. He was younger than she'd expected for someone the other servers whispered about with fear, maybe 35, with the kind of presence that made people step aside instinctively. They say he runs the Kang family, another server had whispered, organized crime empire, billions in legitimate business, but everyone knows the truth. Don't make eye contact. Don't speak unless spoken to. Amara had tried to stay invisible, but Jae-sung's eyes had found her across the room, dark and assessing. She'd felt his gaze like a physical touch. Later, when she'd been clearing glasses from a private study, he'd appeared in the doorway. "You don't belong here," he'd said in perfect English. Amara had frozen. "I'm with the catering company, sir." "That's not what I meant." He'd stepped closer. "You're different from the others, educated, the way you move, the way you observe. You're studying something. Anthropology? Sociology? International relations," she'd admitted, surprised. "At Yonsei University. Expensive. I work 6 jobs to afford it." Something had flickered in his eyes. Respect, maybe. Or curiosity. "What's your name?" "Amara Okonkwo." "Nigerian?" "Yes, sir." He'd nodded slowly. "I'm Jae-sung, and stop calling me sir. It makes me feel ancient." Then his phone had rung. He'd answered in rapid Korean, his face hardening. Whatever, the call was about, it was serious. He'd ended it and looked at her with strange intensity. "I need to leave, but Amara Okonkwo from Nigeria, studying international relations. I'd like to continue this conversation. Would you have dinner with me?" Every instinct had screamed danger. Mafia boss. Criminal empire. Nothing good could come from this. But his eyes had held something she recognized. Loneliness. The same bone-deep isolation she felt in this country, where she'd never truly belong. "Okay," she'd heard herself say. He'd smiled, rare and genuine. "Tomorrow, I'll send a car." Then he'd left, and Amara had finished her shift in a daze. The dinner had never happened. The next day, news broke that Kang Jae-sung had been hospitalized. Some kind of collapse. His company released a brief statement about stress and exhaustion. Amara had felt oddly disappointed, then guilty for feeling disappointed about a criminal. 2 weeks later, she'd received a message from an unknown number. This is Jae-sung. I apologize for the missed dinner. I was dealing with a medical situation. Would you give me another chance? She should have said no. Should have blocked the number and forgotten the dangerous man with lonely eyes. Instead, she typed, "Are you all right?" "That's complicated. Can we meet? I promise I'm not as dangerous as you've heard." They'd met at a quiet café in Itaewon, neutral territory. Jae-sung had looked thinner, tired, but his eyes had lit up when she'd walked in. "You came?" "Against my better judgment." He'd laughed. "Honesty. I appreciate that." They'd talked for 4 hours. He'd been surprisingly open, telling her about the family business he'd inherited at 21 after his father's death, how he'd tried to legitimize it, pull away from criminal connections, but the Kang name came with obligations he couldn't escape. "People think I'm dangerous," he'd said, "and maybe I am. But I'm also just tired, Amara. Tired of living a life someone else designed." She'd understood that. The pressure of family expectations, the weight of duty. Different circumstances, same cage. They'd started meeting regularly. Coffee shops, quiet restaurants, late-night walks along the Han River. Jae-sung had been careful never to touch her, never to push. Just conversation and slowly building trust. Then one night, 2 months into their friendship, he told her the truth. "I'm dying, Amara." They'd been sitting by the river, city lights reflecting on dark water. "What?" "Testicular cancer. Stage 4. Spread to my lymph nodes and lungs." His voice had been flat, emotionless. "I have maybe 8 months. Treatment isn't working." Amara's heart had cracked. "Jae-sung, I'm so sorry. The worst part isn't dying. It's dying without leaving anything real behind. No wife, no children. My family's legitimate legacy dies with me. The criminal elements will take over everything I've built. Can't you freeze sperm? Use a surrogate?" He'd looked at her with devastating sadness. "The cancer treatment destroyed my fertility 2 years ago. Before I knew I was dying, I'd banked some samples, but they were contaminated in a laboratory accident. I have nothing left." They'd sat in silence, grief hanging between them. "I'm sorry," Amara had whispered. "That's incredibly unfair." "Life is unfair." He'd looked at her. "But meeting you, that's been the one good thing in this nightmare. You see me as human, not as the Kang family legacy, or a criminal or a dying man. Just me." Amara had taken his hand. First time they'd touched. His fingers had been warm, solid, alive, despite everything. "You are human, Jae-sung, and you matter. Don't forget to like this video if you're hooked on this story. Drop a comment telling me what you think happens next, and subscribe so you don't miss part 2. Now, back to the story. The last thing she remembered was meeting Jae-sung for coffee at their usual café in Itaewon. They'd talked about her thesis, his latest business deal going legitimate, normal things, safe things. Then nothing. A blank space where memory should be. She'd woken up in a private hospital room, expensive and sterile. A doctor had been standing over her, face professionally neutral. "Miss Okonkwo, you're awake. Good. How do you feel?" What happened? Her mouth had been dry, her head pounding. "You collapsed at a café. Your companion brought you here. We've run tests. You're healthy, but you were severely dehydrated, and your blood sugar was dangerously low. Have you been eating properly?" Amara had nodded, confused. She ate fine. Worked too much, sure, but nothing that should cause collapse. "We'd like to keep you overnight for observation. Standard procedure." She'd agreed, too disoriented to argue. Jae-sung had visited that evening, face tight with worry. "I'm so sorry. You just fell. I've never been so terrified." "I'm okay. Probably just exhausted." But his eyes had held something else. Guilt, maybe, or fear. The hospital had released her the next morning with instructions to rest. She'd felt fine. Better than fine, actually. Energized. Now, 8 weeks later, staring at 3 positive pregnancy tests, Amara understood. Something had happened at that hospital. Something they hadn't told her. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered with shaking hands. Amara Okonkwo, a woman's voice, speaking English with a Korean accent. Yes? My name is Dr. Seo Min-jung. I was the attending physician when you were hospitalized 8 weeks ago. We need to meet. Immediately. There's been a situation. Amara's blood ran cold. What kind of situation? Not over the phone. There's a café near Gangnam Station, Paris Baguette on the 2nd floor. Can you meet me in 1 hour? Tell me now. Dr. Seo's voice dropped. During your hospital stay, there was an unauthorized procedure, a fertility treatment that should never have happened. Miss Okonkwo, I'm so deeply sorry, but you were implanted with embryos without consent. The bathroom tilted. Amara grabbed the counter. What are you saying? Meet me, please. This is far more complicated than you understand. And Miss Okonkwo, do not contact Kang Jae-sung. Not yet. Your life may depend on it. The line went dead. Amara stared at her reflection in the mirror. 26 years old. Nigerian immigrant. Pregnant with triplets. Implanted without consent. This was rape. Medical rape. She thought of Jae-sung's guilt when he'd visited her in the hospital. Had he known? Had he orchestrated this? No. She refused to believe it. But doubt was a poison spreading through her chest. 60 minutes later, Amara sat across from Dr. Seo in the crowded café. The doctor was in her 40s, elegant and terrified. I could lose everything for telling you this, Dr. Seo began. My medical license, my career, possibly my life, but what happened to you was unconscionable. Tell me. 8 weeks ago, when you were admitted to our hospital unconscious, someone on staff received orders from very powerful people, the Kang family specifically. You were to undergo an embryo transfer procedure using frozen embryos belonging to Kang Jae-sung. Amara's vision tunneled. Jae-sung ordered this? No, his mother did, Kang Hae-won. The name hit like a slap. Amara had never met Jae-sung's mother, but she'd heard the stories. The real power behind the Kang Empire. Ruthless, calculating, terrifying. Why? Dr. Seo's hands trembled around her coffee cup. Jae-sung's cancer destroyed his fertility, or so everyone believed. But 2 years ago, before the diagnosis, he'd frozen several samples for future use. They were supposed to be destroyed after the contamination accident, but Kang Hae-won secretly preserved them, had embryos created using donor eggs. She was planning to use a surrogate. Yes, but finding the right surrogate, someone trustworthy and controllable, was taking time. Then Jae-sung started seeing you. His mother had you investigated, discovered you were healthy, young, financially desperate, and foreign with no family support in Korea. Perfect. Amara felt sick. She saw me as an incubator. She saw you as an opportunity. When you collapsed, she saw a chance. You were unconscious. No consent needed. The procedure was done while you were sedated. 3 embryos transferred to maximize chances of pregnancy. That's criminal. It's also virtually unprovable. The medical records show nothing. The staff involved have been paid or threatened into silence, and Miss Okonkwo, Kang Hae-won, is one of the most powerful women in Korea. She has judges, prosecutors, and politicians in her pocket. If you try to fight this, you'll lose everything. So I'm just supposed to accept this? Be grateful? Dr. Seo leaned forward. I'm telling you because you deserve to know the truth. But I'm also warning you. Kang Jae-won doesn't leave loose ends. If she believes you're a threat to her grandson's inheritance or her family's legacy, you'll disappear. Does Jae-sung know? I don't believe so. His mother controls information flow around him. She tells him what she wants him to know. Amara's mind raced. Jae-sung had been kind, vulnerable, real, but he was also dying, and desperate people made desperate choices. What should I do? That depends. Do you want to keep the pregnancy? Amara put her hand on her still flat stomach. 3 lives growing inside her. Lives she hadn't chosen, but couldn't quite bring herself to hate. I don't know. If you terminate, Kang Jae-won loses her grandsons. She might let you live, or she might punish you for destroying her legacy. If you continue the pregnancy, you become valuable, necessary, but also trapped. And if I run? Dr. Seo's laugh was bitter. Where? The Kang family has connections across Asia. You think you can hide with triplets? Raise them in poverty while looking over your shoulder? Amara closed her eyes. Impossible choices. All paths led to suffering. I need to talk to Jae-sung. That's dangerous. He deserves to know. If he orchestrated this, I'll know. I can read him. Dr. Seo nodded slowly. Then be careful. And Miss Okonkwo, record everything. It might save your life. They parted ways. Amara walked through Gangnam's crowded streets, pregnant with triplets for a dying man who might have betrayed her, or might be as much a victim as she was. She pulled out her phone and typed, "We need to talk, tonight. It's urgent." Jae-sung's response came immediately. "My apartment, 8 p.m. Are you all right?" "No, but I will be." She hoped that was true. If you're as shocked as Amara right now, show some love by hitting that like button. Comment below what you think Jae-sung will say when he finds out. And make sure you're subscribed, because this story is about to get even more intense. That evening, Amara stood outside Jae-sung's penthouse in Hanam-dong, her heart hammering. She'd hidden a voice recorder in her purse. Insurance. The door opened. Jae-sung stood there, looking worse than she'd ever seen him. Thinner, grey-faced, exhausted. "Amara, come in. You sounded upset." She walked past him into the minimalist apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Seoul. Expensive art on the walls. The home of a billionaire. "I'm pregnant." Jae-sung froze. His face went completely blank, then cycled through confusion, disbelief, and something that looked like hope before settling on careful neutrality. "That's... how? You said you weren't seeing anyone." "I'm not. I wasn't. I've never been with anyone, Jae-sung." Amara's voice was steady despite the rage building in her chest. "I'm a virgin. Or I was until someone decided to use my body without permission." His confusion looked genuine. Too genuine to fake. "I don't understand." 8 weeks ago I collapsed at our café. You brought me to the hospital. Do you remember?" "Of course. You were unconscious. They said dehydration and low blood sugar." They lied. While I was sedated, someone performed an embryo transfer. 3 embryos. Your embryos, Jae-sung. I'm carrying triplets. Your triplets." The colour drained from his face. He staggered backward, catching himself on the arm of a chair. "No, that's impossible. My samples were destroyed. The lab accident 2 years ago." "Your mother preserved them, had embryos created, and when she saw an opportunity, she had them implanted in me without my knowledge or consent." Jae-sung sat down hard, his hands shaking. "My mother did this?" "According to the doctor who contacted me, Dr. Seo Min-jung, she was there. She witnessed it." "Amara, I swear to you, I knew nothing about this. Nothing." His voice cracked. "My mother told me the samples were gone, that I'd never have biological children. I grieved that, accepted it." Amara studied his face, looking for deception. but all she saw was horror and dawning rage. She used me, used both of us. She violated you. Jae-sung stood, pacing like a caged animal. This is assault. Criminal. I don't care that she's my mother. I'll destroy her for this. Will you? Amara's voice hardened. Or will you protect your family like you always do? Because right now, I'm carrying your heirs. 3 of them. Your legacy. The thing you said you wanted most before you die. He stopped, turned to face her. You think I'd condone this? That I'd want children born from violating you? I don't know what to think. You're dying, desperate. People do terrible things when they're desperate. Not this. Never this. He crossed to her, stopping just out of reach. Amara, look at me. I'm furious, disgusted. If I could undo this, give you back your choice, I would, but I can't. And I'm so sorry. Tears burned in Amara's eyes. I don't know if I believe you. Then test me. Ask me anything. Search my phone, my emails, my medical records. You won't find anything because I didn't know. But you benefit. Whether you knew it or not, you got what you wanted. Heirs, legacy, biological children. Jae-sung's face crumpled. At what cost? Your trust? Your autonomy? Your safety? He shook his head. That's not victory. That's horror. Amara wanted to believe him. Every instinct screamed that he was telling the truth. But Dr. Seo's warnings echoed in her mind. Your mother will come for me. For them. She put her hand on her stomach. Dr. Seo said I'm either valuable or a threat. Either way, I'm not safe. You're valuable. Essential. Jae-sung's voice turned cold, calculating. My mother won't harm you while you're carrying her grandchildren. After birth is when you're vulnerable. Comforting. I'm being honest. My mother is ruthless. She sees people as assets or obstacles. Right now, you're an asset. But we need to change the equation. How? Marriage. Amara laughed, bitter and sharp. You're insane. I'm strategic. If we marry, you become family. Kang family. Protected by the same network that makes you vulnerable. Your children become legitimate heirs. And most importantly, I can shield you from my mother. I don't want to marry you. I don't even know if I trust you. I'm not asking you to love me. I'm offering you survival. Jae-sung pulled out his phone, pulled up documents. Look, my medical records, correspondence with fertility clinics. All of it showed I believed I was permanently sterile. I have nothing to hide. Amara scrolled through the documents. Emails about contaminated samples, medical reports about treatment-related infertility, messages to his lawyer about accepting childlessness. Either he was telling the truth, or this was the most elaborate deception she'd ever seen. I need time to think. You don't have time. My mother will know about the pregnancy soon if she doesn't already. She monitors everything. Once she knows you know, she'll act. To do what? Control you, isolate you, make you dependent so you can't leave or fight back. His eyes were fierce. Amara, I'm dying. In 6 months, maybe less, I'll be gone. But before I die, I can give you legal protection, make you untouchable, ensure my mother can't harm you or the children. Why would you do that? Because this is my fault, not directly, but my existence created this situation. My mother's desperation to preserve the family line, my frozen samples, my relationship with you, all of it led here. He stepped closer. And because, despite everything, I care about you. You're the only real friend I've had in years. I won't let my family destroy you. Amara's phone buzzed. Unknown number, she answered, putting it on speaker. Miss Okonkwo, a woman's voice, cold and cultured. My name is Kang Jae-sung. I believe you're carrying my grandchildren. Jae-sung's face went white. Amara's heart hammered. I don't know what you're talking about. Please don't insult my intelligence. I know you visited Dr. Seo. I know you're at my son's apartment right now, and I know you're approximately 8 weeks pregnant with triplets conceived via IVF using Kang's genetic material. Silence, heavy and threatening. I'd like to meet you, Miss Okonkwo. Tomorrow, noon. My home in Pyeongchang-dong. Come alone. And if I refuse? Then I'll have you picked up. This conversation happens one way or another, but I'd prefer civility, for the children's sake. The line went dead. Amara looked at Jae-sung. His jaw was clenched, fury radiating from him. You're not going alone. She said, I don't care what she said. You're not facing her without protection. Jae-sung, she's your mother. And she's a monster. I've known that for years, but I convinced myself her ruthlessness served a purpose. But this, he shook his head, this crosses every line. I'm done protecting her. Amara sat down, legs shaky. I'm so tired. I didn't ask for any of this. I know. Jae-sung sat beside her, careful to maintain distance. But here we are. 3 impossible lives growing inside you. A dying man who cares about you, and a powerful woman who sees you as a vessel for her legacy. What do I do? You survive. We both do. For as long as we can. He looked at her. Marry me, Amara. Not for love, for protection. I'll draw up contracts that give you everything. Custody, money, property. After I die, you'll be wealthy enough to disappear if you want. To raise the children anywhere in the world. But right now, we need to present a united front. This is insane. This entire situation is insane. I'm just trying to find the least catastrophic path through it. Amara closed her eyes. 26 years old, pregnant with triplets, facing down a criminal matriarch, being proposed to by a dying billionaire she'd known for 3 months. If I agree, I have conditions. Name them. Full custody. Non-negotiable. The children stay with me always. Agreed. Complete financial independence. Money in my name, not controlled by your family. Done. And if your mother threatens the children or me, if she tries to take them or hurt us, you stop her, whatever it takes. Jae-sung's eyes were hard. I'll stop her. I promise you that. My mother's sins end with me. She won't touch you or our children. Our children, Amara repeated softly. Is that what they are? Biologically, yes, but in every way that matters, they're yours. You're the one carrying them. You're the one who'll raise them. I'm just trying to make sure you survive long enough to do it. We're at the halfway point of this incredible story, and things are getting intense. If you're invested in Amara's survival, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling me if you think she should trust Jae-sung, and smash that like button if you want to see how this confrontation with the mother goes down. Now let's continue. The next morning, Amara stood in front of the mirror in Jae-sung's guest room, trying to choose armor for battle. She'd stayed the night, too exhausted and afraid to go home alone. Jae-sung had been respectful, giving her space, posting security outside her door. In the morning, he'd had breakfast ready and clothes delivered in her size. You need to look powerful, he'd said. My mother respects strength. Show weakness, and she'll exploit it. Now, Amara wore a tailored black dress, simple jewellery, and her natural hair pulled back. She looked professional, composed, nothing like the terrified girl screaming inside. Jae-sung knocked softly. Ready? No, but let's go anyway. They drove through Seoul in silence, his driver navigating toward Pyeongchang-dong, where Korea's elite lived behind high walls and higher reputations. Jae-sung held her hand the entire way, his grip steady despite the tremor of illness. Whatever she says, whatever she offers or threatens, remember you have power too, he said quietly. You're carrying the only heirs to the Kang fortune. That makes you invaluable. Or a target once they're born. Which is why we marry before that happens. Legal protection. I've already had my lawyers draft papers. After the meeting, we can sign them. Amara turned to him. You really think marriage will stop her? I think it complicates her options. Makes you harder to eliminate quietly. His eyes were sad. I wish I could promise you absolute safety. But, in my world, there's no such thing. Only degrees of risk. The Kang estate was massive. Traditional Korean architecture mixed with modern security. Guards at the gate, cameras everywhere. They were ushered through gardens into a formal sitting room where Kang Jae-won waited. She was smaller than Amara expected. Elegant, maybe 60, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She wore a cream hanbok, traditional and expensive, her hair perfectly styled. She looked like a grandmother in a drama, but her eyes were cold, calculating. Jae-sung, Miss Okonkwo, please sit. Amara sat on the silk cushion, spine straight. Jae-sung settled beside her, his presence a shield. Mother, what you did was criminal. Hae-won's expression didn't change. I preserved our family line. You're dying, my son. In 6 months, the Kang legacy dies with you unless I act. By violating an innocent woman? By treating her like an incubator? By making difficult choices you were too weak to make yourself. Hae-won turned to Amara. Miss Okonkwo, I imagine you're angry. You have that right. But consider what I've given you. 3 healthy babies, financial security for life, connection to one of Korea's most powerful families. You've given me trauma, Amara said coldly. You violated my body without consent. That's rape. I don't care how you justify it. Rape is such an ugly word. It's an accurate word. Hae-won's eyes narrowed. You're bold. I appreciate that. But let's speak practically. You're carrying my grandchildren. That reality doesn't change regardless of how they were conceived. The question now is, how we move forward. We don't. I move forward, alone, with my children. Your children? Hae-won smiled thinly. They're Kang children. Kang blood, Kang genetics, Kang legacy. You're simply the vessel. Jae-sung stood. Enough. Amara is not a vessel. She's a person you violated. And if you threaten her again, I'll destroy everything you've built. I'll expose the family's criminal connections, burn the empire down, and salt the earth behind me. You wouldn't. The Kang name is your legacy too. My legacy is dying with me anyway, but I can choose how I die, as your obedient son or as the man who finally stopped you. Mother and son stared at each other, decades of complicated history in that gaze. Finally, Hae-won looked away. What do you want, Miss Okonkwo? Full custody. Legal documentation that I am the sole parent with complete decision-making authority. A trust fund for the children that I control. And a guarantee that you and your organization will never threaten me or me. In exchange for? I'll allow supervised visitation. I won't destroy your family's reputation by going public about what you did, and I'll raise the children to know their Korean heritage. Generous of you considering you have no leverage. I have the only leverage that matters. These babies. Amara's hand went to her stomach. You want heirs? You negotiate with me. You want me to disappear? I go to every media outlet in Korea and tell them how the Kang family forcibly impregnated a foreign student. See how that affects your legitimate business operations. Hae-won's face remained calm, but something flickered in her eyes. Respect, maybe, or recalculation. You're smarter than I anticipated. You're exactly as ruthless as I expected. Fair enough. Hae-won poured tea with steady hands. I agree to your terms with modifications. You'll marry my son immediately. This legitimizes the children and provides you legal protection. Upon his death, you'll inherit a portion of his estate. The children will inherit the rest in trust until age 25. And you stay away from us. I get monthly updates on their health and development, photos, video calls as they grow older. I'm not abandoning my grandchildren completely. Amara looked at Jae-sung. He nodded slightly. This was probably the best deal they'd get. Fine. But if you ever make me feel unsafe, if you ever try to take them, the deal is void, and I disappear with them forever. I have friends, resources, places even the Kang family can't reach. It was a bluff, but Haiwon didn't need to know that. Agreed. I'll have the contracts drawn up today. Haiwon stood, smoothing her hanbok. Welcome to the family, Miss Okonkwo. I suspect you'll be a more formidable daughter-in-law than I anticipated. I suspect you're right. They left the estate in tense silence. Once in the car, Jae-sung exhaled shakily. You were incredible. I've never seen anyone stand up to my mother like that. I was terrified. You didn't show it. That's what matters. He squeezed her hand. Are you really okay with this? Marrying me? I don't have a choice, but if I have to be married to someone, at least you're decent. He laughed, the sound weak but genuine. Decent. High praise. Don't let it go to your head. They married 3 days later in a private ceremony. No guests, just lawyers and witnesses. Amara wore a simple white dress. Jae-sung wore a suit that hung loose on his thinning frame. The vows were legal formalities, nothing romantic. But when he slipped the ring on her finger, his hands were gentle. I promise to protect you, he whispered, for as long as I can. I know you will. The pregnancy progressed. Amara's body changed, growing round with 3 lives. Jae-sung was there for every appointment, every ultrasound, every moment of morning sickness. He read parenting books obsessively, asked doctors endless questions, prepared for a future he'd never see. At 20 weeks, they learned the baby's genders. 2 boys, 1 girl. Jae-sung cried when the technician told them. A daughter! I'm having a daughter! We're having a daughter, Amara corrected gently. Their relationship shifted. Not quite love, but something deeper. Partnership. Friendship forged in impossible circumstances. She told him about her childhood in Lagos, her dreams for the future. He told her about the loneliness of power, the weight of legacy, and his regrets. I wish I'd lived differently, he admitted one night, as they sat in the nursery he'd insisted on decorating. 3 cribs, 3 of everything. Worked less, loved more, made choices for myself instead of the family. You're making choices now. Too late, though. Not too late. These babies will know their father loved them. That matters. At 28 weeks, Jae-sung collapsed during dinner. The cancer had spread to his brain. Doctors gave him 4 to 6 weeks. He spent those weeks writing letters, 1 for each child to read when they turn 18. Pages and pages of love and wisdom and apology for not being there. Amara read them and wept. At 34 weeks, Amara went into early labour. Jae-sung insisted on being in the delivery room despite barely being able to stand. His security team literally held him upright. 3 babies were born within 20 minutes. Healthy, screaming, perfect. 2 boys and a girl just as promised. Jae-sung held each one, tears streaming down his face. They're beautiful. So beautiful. They're ours, Amara whispered. Our impossible miracle. Jae-sung died 2 weeks later. Peacefully, in his sleep, with photos of his children beside him. The funeral was massive. Korean elite, business leaders and politicians, and Amara, holding 3 newborns, standing as the widow of a billionaire she'd known for 6 months. Haewon approached her after the service. You gave him peace. Thank you for that. I gave him family. Yes, you did. The older woman looked at the babies. May I hold them? Amara hesitated, then carefully handed over one of the boys. 5 minutes. Haewon cradled her grandson with surprising tenderness. He has Jae-sung's nose. He has a lot of his father in him. Will you stay in Korea? For now, the children should know their heritage. But if you ever threaten us, I won't. You've earned your place in this family, Amara. The hard way, but you've earned it. 5 years later, Amara stood in the garden of her home in Jeju Island, watching 3 children play. They spoke Korean and English fluently, knew their father's story, and visited their grandmother monthly under supervision. She'd used Jae-sung's inheritance to start a foundation for African students in Korea, to help others like her find their footing in a country that didn't always welcome them. The children called her Mama. They called Jae-sung's photo Appa, we never met, but who loved us. And they were happy, healthy, thriving. Amara had never planned this life, had never chosen it, but somehow, impossibly, she'd built something beautiful from violation and loss. 3 children born from medical rape, raised by a woman who chose mercy over bitterness. A family created from the worst circumstances, held together by love stronger than genetics. She thought of Jae-sung often, his gentle hands, his sad eyes, his desperate love for children he barely knew. And she forgave him for the circumstances that brought them together, because he'd given her everything he had to give: protection, time, and the freedom to choose her own path after he was gone. "Mama!" Her daughter ran over, holding flowers. "For Appa's picture." "That's beautiful, baby. He would love them." "Do you miss him?" "Every day. But I'm grateful for him too. He gave me you." Her daughter hugged her tight. "I wish he hadn't died." "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through African Girl Got Pregnant with Triplets for Infertile Mafia Korean Billionaire CEO, a story where violation became survival, where impossible circumstances created an unexpected family, and where one woman's courage transformed tragedy into triumph. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss our next incredible tale. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought. Were you Team Jae-sung from the beginning, or did Amara win you over with her strength? And smash that like button if you believe that even from the darkest beginnings, love and family can bloom. Remember, some stories aren't about how they begin, but about the courage it takes to keep going when everything seems impossible. Until next time, stay strong, stay brave, and never underestimate the power of a woman who refuses to be broken. Subscribe now, and we'll see you in the next story.